We're counting down the 9 biggest and most powerful locomotives ever unleashed on rails. From streamlined speed marvels and desert endurance giants to machines so heavy they shook the ground, each entry pushed the limits of engineering in a different way. Some were unstoppable haulers, others became cautionary tales, and a few still roar to life today. Which colossal creation stands at number 1? Let's begin with number 9. In 1939, a sleek blue locomotive thundered across the Hungarian plains, determined to prove that speed could be as much a matter of national pride as engineering. The MAV 242-1001, designed by József Mihályfi, carried a streamlined body accented in silver, its oval windows and enclosed cab as striking as its purpose. Powered by a compact 4-cylinder engine producing 2,300 horsepower, it reached a record 160 kilometers per hour between Budapest and Hegyeshalom. Dispatch logs and crew diaries recall tense moments as axle temperatures climbed, but the locomotive held steady, watched by crowds waving flags along the line. Today, preserved at the Hungarian Railway Museum, the 242-1001 stands as a symbol of elegance and ambition, a speed marvel that captured a nation's imagination. South Africa's endless Karoo Desert demanded a different kind of power. The SAR Class 25 condensing locomotive answered with sheer endurance, not speed. Its 484 frame carried a massive tender packed with radiators and fans, capturing spent steam and turning it back into water. This innovation cut water use by more than 2/3, letting the Class 25 run up to 3 times farther between stops. On the scorching Kimberley to DR line, temperatures soared above 40 degrees Celsius, but the locomotive pressed on, its 4,200 horsepower engine shrugging off the heat. Drivers described the cab as a sauna, but praised the reliability that kept trains moving through the dust and shimmer, where ordinary engines would stall or run dry. Norfolk and Western 611 glides across the green hills of Virginia, its bullet-shaped nose slicing through the morning mist. Beneath polished black paint and red striping, a 3-cylinder engine with a 4/8 arrangement delivers nearly 5,000 horsepower, propelling passenger trains at speeds that once reached 90 miles per hour. This locomotive's reputation for smoothness and stability grew from dynamometer tests and years of dependable service. When retirement threatened its legacy, a coalition of volunteers and the Virginia Museum of Transportation came together, pouring thousands of hours into restoration. Today, 611 lives on as a living legend, drawing crowds of all ages to excursion runs, its whistle echoing across valleys. The Queen of Steam stands as both a technical marvel and a symbol of community pride, a testament to the power of preservation and the enduring allure of steam. Steel and grit defined the Santa Fe 5000, known to generations as Madame Queen. Built in 1930 for the harsh realities of Southwest freight, this 210 Ford Texas type weighed in at nearly 500,000 pounds. Its exposed rods and massive driving wheels hammered the rails from Amarillo to Belen, hauling loads that would stall lesser engines. With 5,600 horsepower on tap, the Queen muscled through dust storms and heat, her cab thick with the clang of steel and the scent of oil. Crew accounts recall the relentless vibration and the sense of raw force as she lunged into heavy trains, sometimes pushing past mechanical limits. Dispatch logs record breakdowns under strain, but also a stubborn resilience. In the age before articulated giants, Madame Queen stood as the ultimate single-frame powerhouse, unyielding, unapologetic, and built for the toughest jobs the desert could offer. Soviet engineers in the 1930s set out to build a locomotive that would dwarf anything seen before. The result was the AA20, an immense locomotive with a 122 wheel arrangement and 14 driving wheels, more than any other steam locomotive in history. Measuring nearly 60 feet from end to end, its massive boiler and rigid frame demanded special attention just to fit on the rails. Test runs at Kolomna Works quickly exposed the limits of sheer scale, and the AA20 strained tracks, derailed on tight curves, and was too long for most turntables. Workshop logs detail hours spent dismantling oversized gears, while Politburo memos reveal pressure to declare success despite mounting problems. Maintenance crews faced weekly interventions as the locomotive's 361 kilonewtons of tractive effort tore at switches and track beds. Only one AA20 was ever built. Its fate was sealed not by lack of ambition, but by the stubborn reality that bigger is not always better in railroading. A wall of snow once brought the Sierra Nevada to a halt. In February 1952, a relentless blizzard buried tracks under drifts towering up to 20 feet, stranding the city of San Francisco passenger train for days. Into this frozen siege rolled Union Pacific's rotary snowplow, a specialist, not a hauler, but a lifeline. Its 12-foot rotary blade, powered by a 1,500 horsepower steam engine, spun at up to 150 revolutions per minute, chewing through dense snow that ordinary plows couldn't touch. Crews worked in whiteout conditions, guided by crackling radio orders and the metallic scream of the blade. Push locomotives heaved the plow forward, carving open a path for rescue trains and supplies. Hour by hour, the rotary's power forced a passage where none existed, saving lives and restoring the vital mountain link. Here, power meant survival, not in pulling tonnage, but in conquering nature's blockade. Union Pacific Challenger 3985 stretches more than 122 feet from pilot to tender, a moving testament to the power of articulation. Its 4-6-6-4 wheel arrangement divides the locomotive into two sets of driving wheels joined by a flexible hinge beneath a single massive boiler. This design lets the Challenger take on tight mountain curves that would defeat lesser giants, all while delivering 5,600 horsepower to the rails. Operating across the American West, the Challenger hauled long freight trains up steep grades, its four-cylinder rhythm echoing through canyons and over high deserts. Restoration by the Union Pacific steam team in the 1980s brought 3,985 roaring back to life, pulling excursion trains at speeds up to 70 miles per hour. Crowds gathered trackside, drawn by the deep exhaust beats and the rare sight of a living, breathing behemoth in full stride. The Challenger proved that with the right engineering, raw size and agility could finally travel together. Steel rails trembled under the weight of the Chesapeake and Ohio Allegheny H8, a locomotive that pushed the boundaries of steam power and the limits of rail infrastructure. With 7,500 horsepower measured in dynamometer tests and a drawbar pull of 95,000 pounds, the H8 was designed to muscle the heaviest coal trains from the Appalachian mines to Ohio's steel mills. Each run delivered more than just freight. Engineers and track crews braced for the aftermath. The first driving axle alone bore nearly 87,000 pounds, the highest ever recorded. The locomotive's total weight topped 725,000 pounds. Maintenance logs and management memos from the 1940s and the 1950s recount a mounting toll. Rails spread, ties splintered, and bridges strained under loads they were never meant to bear. Teams walked the line after every passage, listening for the lingering echoes of piston thunder and checking for fresh cracks in the ballast. Railroad managers debated whether such power was worth the cost. Inspection reports piled up, and the lifespan of the Alleghenies was cut short. Most were withdrawn by 1956, barely a decade after entering service. The H8's legacy stands as a monument to raw force, but also as a caution. In the race for more power, sometimes the ground itself pushes back. Union Pacific Big Boy number 4014 stands alone in the world of steam. Built in 1941 by the American Locomotive Company, its 4-8-8 wheel arrangement stretches a breathtaking 132 feet from coupler to coupler. Everything about the Big Boy is outsized. A boiler large enough to house a small apartment, 4 massive cylinders driving 16 powered wheels, and a tractive effort of 135,375 pounds, enough to haul 3,600-ton freights over the Wasatch Mountains without help. Wartime records show these locomotives shouldered the heaviest loads, moving military supplies and raw materials across the American West day and night. Strain gauge data and engineer logs from the 1940s confirm horsepower in the 6,000 to 7,000 range, delivered at speeds that kept the Union Pacific competitive against diesel rivals. Yet the big boy story did not end with the last whistle in the late 1950s. In 2013, a team of Union Pacific engineers began the unprecedented task of bringing number 4014 back to life. Emails and workshop diaries reveal the scale of the challenge: a 1,200-mile tow from a California museum, months of legal wrangling, and long night shifts spent hunting for replacement parts no longer made. After 6 years of painstaking work, number 4014 steamed under its own power once again in 2019. The restoration drew crowds by the thousands, lining the tracks from Cheyenne to Ogden, children perched on shoulders, cameras flashing as the living titan thundered past. Today, big boy number 4014 is more than a machine. It is a national event each time it moves. Its deep exhaust beats echo across plains and mountains, a living link to an era when steam ruled the rails. The big boy blend of size, power, and enduring presence crowns it as the ultimate locomotive, not just the biggest, but the most successful, the most beloved, and the only one still alive to tell its own story. Across all these colossal locomotives, one truth emerges: every era pushes the limits of what machines and their builders can achieve. Raw size and power become symbols of ambition, not just function. These giants remind us the drive to conquer distance and challenge possibility never leaves the rails.